Swing. Yeah, again, it looks like you're swinging 65% in the speeds there.
All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Really excited this morning to be bringing you guys an exclusive.
Yeah, brand new, hot off the press.
Yeah, it's not often we get all that excited about a shaft launch.
No.
Occasionally, we'll see something that's maybe a bit of a pivot, bit of a change, something we think that's going to maybe influence a sort of change of design or something like that in the space. And I think this could be something like that.
Yeah.
We have a brand new company, Aretera, that are partnering with us for the first.
This is the first month.
Certainly the first period of their existence. You've probably seen them on our social media. If you haven't, you may have seen them sort of around, various Instagram or sort of online accounts. We are going to be the first channel to test it.
Yep.
So huge thanks to the Aretera guys for the sort of privilege of doing that. 2 shafts, Mikey. Alpha One blue and then Alpha One grey.
Yep.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the blue, a little bit about the grey, Mikey. What is the difference between the two?
Yeah, so same shaft profile, just you have the tip section in the gray.
Same handle.
Yep, same handle,
butt section.
same butt section. Tip section in this has their power grid, and it's 10% stiffer than the blue shaft.
Okay, so again, conventional wisdom, guys, as we have heard about it, as it's been marketed, is we would expect the blue to go a little bit higher, the shaft to deflect a little bit more, maybe for the softer, or not softer as much, but maybe smoother delivery. Maybe the aggressive swinger who's going to, apply a little bit more force into it, maybe be suited to the grey by conventional wisdom. We know that doesn't always play out that way. We've seen that. We see it in the bay. We've seen it on professional tours. Sometimes the load profile of a player will lead them to a softer shaft when they're high speed. We see that.
Yeah.
So what we have is 2 fitting profiles with a very similar butt section, midsection, and it gives you that option. That's the way I like to think about these things. I'm not a huge believer in the tip soft goes high, tip stiff goes low. I really am not. It might do something a little bit different.
100%. And that's the nice thing about coming into a club champion. Obviously, we have the exclusive for a month. This is the only place you can get fit for Aretera is a club champion. You might think you're a blue profile and you end up in a gray profile, depending on tipping, how it's built. They come in a couple different weights. 55 regular stiff, all the way to 75 X in the blue, and then only 65 and 75 stiff and X in the gray.
And the X. Yeah, the guys are starting out, there are not that many SKUs, which I quite like. Keep it simple. Sometimes with these things nowadays, we're looking at trying to pick what ones to put in the wall, and it's like, well, what ones do we choose? There's 45 different SKUs to pick. I think the guys have made it concise. It's going to allow people to sample the profile, sample the brand. I think these are going to become, Mikey, renowned for 2 things. Feel. I think that was the feedback when you guys hit it at the PGA,
I liked it.
PGA show. Everyone who was in our crew tested it, apart from me, and said that it felt really, really good.
Yeah.
And the other thing is going to be stability.
Yeah, I think the good feel comes down to a little bit of that stability as well. I think everything we talked, when the group of us chatted about it after, it was like, I hit 3 golf balls with it. We played that week before, just looking and watching kind of the ball flight, looked a little bit tighter, which is nice. But yeah, I was impressed with the feel.
What we've got is from the company and from the lineage of sort of Alex D, who lots of you will have heard the story by now. And if you haven't, Alex is the somewhat legendary shaft designer now.
Totally, yeah. There's shafts on the back of this wall that have been there and that are currently there that he's been kind of the lead in design.
Yeah. Alex comes from a background with another manufacturing company and started the Ventus line. Obviously hugely popular. Spent a lot of time in the R&D phase with the motion capture technology they have over there. And obviously learned an awful lot about what the load profiles of these shafts are, the materials that respond best and work best. And that's what is under the hood here. Behind this sort of nice paint job, and you'll see it in the wall, it'll pop really nicely. The sort of, almost pearlescent white with the grey or the blue and the gold, right? Premium finish.
Yep.
What is under the hood here, though, is the best of the best from a material standpoint.
Yeah, and for the materials they have in it, this shaft should be a lot more expensive
Yeah.
than it's being offered, which is pretty interesting. And it's not just sheets of graphite and resin that are kind of being put together. You're interlocking your graphite and your prepreg, which is pretty impressive. It makes for better quality, a little bit stiffer. There's some other shafts that kind of done it in the past, but for the amount of money that they've put into design this, for what we sell it at, it's a good offer.
Good stuff. All right, why don't we start off, ease our way into it with the blue, the slightly softer shaft, and then we'll get into the gray.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, Fraz, Aretera Blue. We've got it in a QI10 LS, 45.25 inch,
Yeah.
tipped half an inch.
Is that how you built them?
Yeah, that's how I built them.
Have you tried them yet?
Like I said, I hit 3 or 4 balls at the PGA show.
You haven't tried your one.
But I haven't tried mine, no.
Yeah, certainly.
Strike's good.
I'll say, like, it feels like very effortless
Okay,
at this
good.
point to get like 164 out of. I mean, that probably doesn't look like high levels of effort out of that.
No, like I said earlier, like, are you just kind of trying to hit smoothies? But
No,
the speed's definitely there.
it's fast, yeah.
They talk about energy transfer.
Yep.
You know, with the tech that's in the shaft, the materials, it holds onto the energy and then releases at the right time. Is that top of swing? Is that at impact?
Yeah, this one you can feel it deflect. There's no doubt about that. You can feel the deflection of the shaft.
Right.
Now,
Okay.
to your point there, I think, yeah, that's where the better material that you access, that's where the engineers are learning how to store and use that energy. I think some shafts that maybe don't quite have the same R&D capability behind it.
Right.
They might use some good materials, but they're not really engineering it, knowing where that sort of deflection is going to happen to get the additional speed out of it.
Right, okay.
I think that is a big separator. We've talked about shafts that we've loved in the past, and there's certain ones that just have the ability to just live higher in ball speed. That's a big part of the material story.
Which is great, because that shaft that you're probably thinking the same one I'm thinking doesn't exist anymore.
No, it's,
and we both have
hugely popular
a good
at the
friend
time.
that, you know, searched for one on eBay and got one, but this is, you know, right up his wheelhouse. Good swing. Yeah, again, it looks like you're swinging 65% in the speeds there.
I mean, that wasn't a good one, to be honest.
Okay.
Strike-wise,
Lower.
a little bit, but pretty solid. Stable.
Good swing. The cool thing is, like, for your speed, this is 65 stiff.
Yep.
Not X. And your dispersion doesn't get any wider. Your miss doesn't get any worse with something a little bit technically softer for you.
No.
Again, they've increased that stability without making it feel boardy and kind of boring in a way.
Definitely.
It's a good swing. Sounded like a 0-0 strike.
Wee bit. It's just like a wee bit toy. All right, flip it.
Okay, Fred, so we're in the gray. Again, similar butt section, similar midsection. We're going a little bit stiffer, down below, 10% stiffer in the gray.
It feels very different.
Okay.
It really does. Just picking them up, it feels. 10% doesn't sound like much. It sounds like they'll feel, you know, quite similar. If you hit them side by side, they are not similar.
Yeah, totally
at
different.
all, to me.
Okay, good.
So just picking it up, it is way more substantial in the sort of feel of the shaft. It does feel pretty stout.
Obviously, the shaft on a club head, you do the old-fashioned waggle. I think every golfer does that. But when you did it with the blue, I don't want to sound crazy. You can see there's a bit more kind of flex to it. This one just looks stable right out of the gates.
Yeah, no, I'll be very interested in this one, see what it's got.
little cutty, but pretty straight. The strike sounds really good.
Feels solid.
Low center, face, open a touch, it's fine. That was a good strike. Good swing. Your first couple swings with it, does it feel a lot stouter than blue?
It does.
Does it feel like harsh in any way? Or
No.
still feels pretty...
No, you know it's stable. It doesn't feel boardy. Doesn't feel rigid.
That's good.
Doesn't feel void of.
Because that's
feel.
I mean that's everything they talk about is making it a little bit stiffer, using that material, but not making it not affecting feel by any means.
It doesn't feel like that. Just feels definitely more stable than blue. That's for sure.
That's a little flatter one.
Well, just better strike height.
Yeah. Yeah, really good. A fraction little cut. 1900 spin cut. That's really good.
All right, Michael. Interesting little test.
Yeah.
I always think these head-to-head shafts, when the expectation is they'll do two totally different things, and the graphics show one is high launch and one is low launch, and you kind of, it shakes out, and it looks pretty similar.
Yeah.
Club head speed the same. There was slightly more dynamic loft. There was also slightly more face angle open.
Yeah. But your
always say
tack
to
is
people-
tack and path are bang on almost the same.
Pretty much. More downward deflection with the dynamic lie on the Alpha One Blue. So, I mean, I think this is worth keeping an eye on where the strike was, because when we go over to the ball data and we see sort of, well, it did have slightly higher.
Yeah, a little bit.
But again, I do think that's largely due to face.
Right.
I
Right.
really
Okay.
do. So if we go, back over to ball, good launch, 11.5, 11.2, 23, 74, 21, 73. Both quite neutral in their flight,
Yeah.
and about the same kind of end result. I will say, entirely different experience swinging both.
Yeah. I'll say from back here, maybe just, blue just a little easier to release kind of right out of the gates. You just looked a lot more comfortable with it, but, visually dispersion with both of them is quite tight, very consistent for both of them. And blue, we're splitting hairs here, but blue is definitely a little bit, higher launch than what the gray one is.
Yeah. Diving into a little bit of the standard deviation across the board, it generally is a little bit tighter with blue, which again strengthens the argument that is the one that probably is a little bit more consistent.
Yeah.
So, guys, I think for me, the advice I would give anyone keen to try these and anyone thinking about trying them is they feel entirely differently, and you won't know until you hit them. That's the truth of the matter. We can, tell you all you want that one will spin less, one will launch higher. It might not end up that way. It's largely going to be where do you position the strike on the face. Now, I do think those are a little bit exaggerated. If we look at where that is, it's not bad.
Yeah.
But that is the story right there, and it always is. It kind of always is. Wherever you position the strike, the shaft's ability to link you to the club head and give you, the player, the ability to hit it where you want to and how you want to, in the most efficient fashion. That is the role of the shaft in a nutshell. And we have so many options on the wall because we know we can, okay, that one doesn't feel quite right. What do you feel? Well, I feel it kicking a little bit. All right, let's stabilize that a little bit. These are just all great options. And I think that's why Alex and the team have went, okay, let's limit the variables here. Same handle, same midsection. Let's change the tip section up to give the player the option. Do you like it to deflect more, or do you like to feel a little bit more stable down there?
Absolutely.
That was my experience swinging them both.
Yeah, and I think that's, the reason they've come to club fitters first. We're the experts in dialing these people in.
Right.
You could get people that are in current blue profiles that, they'd come out in a gray profile. It all depends on what that fit produces.
Yeah. Well, I mean, trying those were the stiff models there. I do think the grey, especially in the X, will feel very stable.
Yeah.
I think for those of you who like that stable feel, and that's kind of what tends to time typically pretty well, I think that'll feel pretty good. I think you said it, a little bit off camera there. Maybe the X and the blue for me would be the one that I would gravitate towards. Maybe,
yeah.
Maybe I kind of said something in between, almost maybe like a tipped blue or something like that. Or there'll be some kind of further testing with them. But I do think they're definitely far enough apart that there's not overlap there.
Definitely.
It's good stuff. All right, kudos to Alex, Chris, Michelle, Bill, and team. Good luck. I love when there's a new shaft manufacturer on the wall. It gives you guys new options. There's lots of year-over-year stability to the shaft matrix. It's nice to see some freshness.
For sure.
We love it.
Yeah, keeps it interesting.
It does. All right, guys, let us know your thoughts. Have you tried Aretera? Have you been to perhaps a Club Champion store already? I've had lots of DMs since we were posting about it in the last couple of weeks, asking, where can I try it? You can try it at any one of our stores.
Definitely.
UK, Australia, ourselves, and obviously in the US. So we all have stock of the Aretera shafts now. And when you're in, if you're booked in the next few weeks, definitely make sure it's part of your request to trying the drivers, all right? Guys, stay tuned for more. We'll see you again soon.